episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Steve. I'm Sam, and as always, I'm my co-host, Jared Goff. Wait, we're here on Pro Bowl Sunday. We don't have any interest in talking about that, do we? We would much rather talk about the crazy blockbuster trade that blew up Twitter last night in Jared Goff, the Lions, and Matt Stafford. Where were you in the news?
Where was I? I was actually just getting home from cutting my last sportscast of the evening for Newsnet. And of course, as soon as I cut that last sportscast, breaking news happens. It's just how it always seems to go. I'm done in the office for the day, and then boom, something else big hits. It kind of sucked. But I mean, that's where I found out about it. And I'm like, damn, that is a hefty price that the Los Angeles Rams decided to go ahead and send in the direction of the Detroit Lions to acquire the services of Matt Stafford. And, you know, if I was looking at this, by the way, I run it on Madden 21. I play franchise mode. Sure. This was like an instant accept for the computer. If you send that much draft capital in the direction of the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford. So
I loved all the dynasty tweets about this. Like, if this was in any league, immediately it would go to review and everyone would veto it because it'd be collusion trade.
It doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, what was your initial reaction when you saw the price tag, like, for what the Rams gave up just to get Matthew Stafford, who's 32 years old? And don't get me wrong, he's a very good quarterback, but there's another franchise level quarterback that's on the open market right now.
Yeah. And that's kind of my first thought was, that's expensive. I guess it's worth it to get rid of having to pay Jared Goff that much. But then I was like, but if this was in Dynasty, if this was my Dynasty league, I would have asked for Watson at that price. So, and then like we were just talking off air, based on, Watson's contract, you wouldn't have to pay him as much this coming year, but then you pay him a lot more the following year. So at least you get that break, and then you can restructure things as the Rams. And as we know, they're a very expensive team. Like, they've got a lot of parts. But it was just, my brain went crazy. And then I suddenly remembered, oh my God, do you know who Matt Stafford's best friend is? No?
I don't. No, I don't.
Well, for those that live in Los Angeles, they know, and it's Clayton Kershaw from the Dodgers. So it's not that crazy that Stafford was like, get me there, and the Rams were like, yes, let's get you here. So I think for an LA side effect, like, it makes sense in that way. So LA people are going to be very happy to see Stafford all about town with Kershaw, and they're going to have so many bromance pictures taken together. So for that narrative, I think it's funny. But I was just sitting there thinking, that's still so expensive. But then I remember what we love about Matt Stafford in fantasy is the passing. And that's going to be such a benefit for the likes of Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, whose values tanked this year compared to the previous year because Goff just wasn't efficient.
Well, undoubtedly, unquestionably, this should help that offense, I think, be more consistent, right? I think that they're going to have a lot of issues when it comes to, and a lot of decisions, like a lot of tough decisions to make when it comes to, and granted, it definitely, part of what I think the price tag was for the exchange between the two franchises for Goff and Stafford was why you had to add draft capital, I believe, is because of Goff's contract. You're getting the Detroit Lions. You're basically paying the Detroit Lions to accept that bad contract that the Rams are already probably realizing we made a mistake. Yeah. So you're having to pay a hefty draft capital to be able to get them to take on that contract. But look, Sam, this is a team that, like, heading into this moment, the Rams were already in the bottom fourth of the league as far as available cap space heading into the 2021 season. This helps a little bit, don't get me wrong, but they're still going to have to make plenty of decisions on players moving forward. But as long as they can keep Cooper Kupp and keep Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee, and Cam Akers continues to do what he did, towards the end of last season, which kind of now begs the question, what does this do for the value of guys like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee? We don't know about Gerald Everett yet. He's going to be a free agent, and we'll see if they decide to bring him back. But Cam Akers, like, what does this do for the Rams offense? And then we can kind of flip the coin and look at the Detroit Lions.
I think it helps all of their values. I mean, it takes an uptick for sure, in my opinion, just because of the volume that Stafford is used to and the way that Stafford plays, I think is going to fit really nicely in the McVay offense. I think because they love passing, and they proved that this year when they couldn't decide which running back they wanted to be the running back. And then I think it's going to help guys like, even Cam Akers in the passing game. I think it's going to help him as well. I think that when you have a veteran like Stafford, he's going into his 13th year now. He's just going to be able to make the smarter decisions. And I feel like the thing that, as a fan, when you're watching Jared Goff play, that's so frustrating is you can see the hesitation. And even though he's going into his 6th year, you still could feel and sense the hesitation that he would have. And yes, he did take the Rams to a Super Bowl, and he has those moments, but it wasn't him that did all of that work. It was the rest of the team and the crazy defense with Aaron Donald and everyone else. Like, there was a lot of factors that made them do that. And when Jared Goff hesitated, which I feel like he did constantly and consistently, and he's been known for, that's when they struggled. And it's having that veteran mindset behind Stafford where he's just got a bit more assuredness in his style of play. And I think it's just going to pair really well with McVay.
So I hear everything that you're saying, and I want to add to it is that I want to ask you a simple question.
Sure.
What does Jared Goff do better than Matthew Stafford? Exactly.
Yeah. So, which is funny because we got this comment from Party 007 Mark saying Lions win the trade. They win the trade and they get the most picks, and now they can fully rebuild. But I don't know how to get excited for those receivers and Galladay, Marvin Jones, and even Amendola. But I just don't know how to get excited for them.
Does it even help? Do you feel confident that the Detroit Lions actually feel as if they have a franchise quarterback in Jared Goff? Like, clearly, the Rams were looking to get rid of Goff in that contract, and Sean McVay and Les Snead were all the GM for the Rams, were all very mum on his future.
Yeah.
Like, they did not want, no vote of confidence whatsoever.
No.
But here's the thing when it comes to Jared Goff, and I think the biggest indictment on him, right? Yeah.
Notion with this zinger saying staying on the field is the only thing he does better. Yeah, I agree.
My man Dio, just bringing the pain, bringing the heat. But when it comes to, we really, I think, saw Jared Goff kind of get exposed. And sure, he's had his moments, but more of his moments, I feel as if, in the last 2 years, since their Super Bowl berth back in 2018, have been more so because of the fantastic job Sean McVay does with his pregame planning. Like, his game plan sometimes just absolutely just take opposing defensive coordinators to school, because McVay is so great at teeing up his players and putting them in a position to scheme them up properly. Mm-hmm. But now Jared Goff has been more of a bystander to the success of this offense than the reason why they've been great, great in moments. And ever since Todd Gurley wasn't really Todd Gurley, we've kind of seen that Goff isn't going to carry an offense deep into the postseason. He would have to be, again, a bystander to their success. I think Stafford not only gets them out of that contract, but gives them a better chance to win while they still have a Super Bowl caliber defense and some nice pieces on the offensive side.
Absolutely. Leonidas jumping in there saying, sup fam, I feel like the Rams just wanted to dump Goff's contract as well. And I agree with you completely. I feel like this was an out for them. And when we're talking about what the direction of these franchises are going, I think McVay has this immediate trajectory. He's got a lot of parts to win now. And I think having someone like Stafford, again, this veteran presence that he knows can run his scheme and is going to enjoy running this scheme and have a lot of success, this takes them playoff ready immediately. And as far as the Lions go, I think it just sets them up for a complete dismantling and rebuild, as they now have more picks, as Goff can be a game manager for them for a little while, and then they restructure and completely rebuild. I don't think that the Lions are looking to win next year, and that's why this was a move for them where they said, okay, take it down to the studs. Let's figure this out.
Well, you got a new you have a new regime there in Detroit, in the Motor City. And by the way, tip of the hat for Matthew Stafford, who tried to carry a franchise for the most part in the Detroit Lions, did the best that he could, and really gave this city everything that he had. So now he gets to go from I'm living up here in Michigan. It's cold. It's not very nice. Now the man gets, like you said, probably on the phone with his boy Clayton Kershaw. Hey, I'm coming down to LA. I'm going to get a tan. I'm going to play with a much better team.
The wife and kids are very excited. Yeah. I think I would not be surprised if they already had a house here anyways, just based on that. And they're like, cool, we're coming home. It's no big deal.
But we flip this. We do flip the coin real quick, let's take a look at the Detroit Lions, right? Yeah. So they've got this talented running back in DeAndre Swift, who I thought showed some flashes in 2020. I thought that he looked really good, and you've got a new GM, Brad Holmes, that is familiar with Jared Goff from his days with the Los Angeles Rams. So he's getting a quarterback that he's comfortable with in Jared Goff. You're getting a ton of draft capital that you can now move around the draft, acquire new assets, rebuild. Because look, let's be real. The Detroit Lions, even though they have some nice players, they've got a lot that they need to do. And they're a far cry away from actually competing in one of the tougher divisions in the National Football League. Yeah. So Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, this is an instant no-brainer. Yeah, you get the shit contract of Jared Goff, but you get the instant chance to go ahead and hit the reset button with some draft capital to reload and build through the draft, which is exactly what every GM and every head coach wants the opportunity to do. They're just going to have to give them a little bit of a long leash in order to do so. Just hopefully Dan Campbell doesn't get ousted, if the Lions do have a horrible first season, which I do expect them to struggle in 2020. Yeah.
Well, I think also what this gives them is youth. So yes, Stafford has carried their franchise for a very long time, and I'm sure that every Lions fan I talk to, they love Matt Stafford. Everyone in that city loves him. He has done a great job of carrying that franchise and being a fantastic face for the franchise. But you've got Jared Goff in. He's younger. He should get better depending on who they pair him with. You still have TJ Hawkinson, and you've got, like you said, DeAndre Swift. So you've got some great young players there that you can continue to build around. And if they end up moving and parting ways with Kenny Golladay, or they re-sign Marvin Jones, or they let him go, depending on what they do, I think that this shapes them up to have possibly a very, very young team with a lot of potential for years to come success.
See, I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit critical of Jared Goff here, and I do not see him being the quarterback of the future for the Detroit Lions. Now, granted, do I think they're going to take a quarterback in the first round of this NFL draft? I don't think so. You're probably going to give Goff a year.
Their highest first round. Sorry to interrupt. What's their highest pick this year for the draft?
Third. They're picking third. So, wow. I mean, they're going to have, if they want to take a quarterback, if they fall in love with one during the draft evaluation process, whether it be Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, they're not going to sniff Trevor Lawrence, but that's okay. Yeah. So if they do fall in love with a quarterback, they could, but you have Goff. If you really truly believe that Goff has something left in that he can improve, then yeah, but I'm going to look at it. I think it's an indictment on Jared Goff that he couldn't really jump his level of play with Sean McVay calling the plays. The dude is an offensive genius. I think that he's one of the best play callers in the National Football League. If you're not going to be able to get it done with McVay calling plays for you, I don't see it getting better with less talent. That's just me personally, though. Nothing against Jared Goff personally. I do hope that he has success in Detroit, but I just don't see it.
No, absolutely. I agree. I think that this next year is going to see a lot of – he's going to have to grow and take a step up to be able to make himself stay a number one quarterback in this league going forward. I hope that the Lions take their draft capital this year and just continue to build these pieces, because they've got a lot of pieces to work with, and I think that they can really have some success if they just start rebuilding young, making some moves back and forth. I think there's still potential. I love the flashes we saw from Swift this year. I hope to still see them next year. If anything, we know that, Goff
scares me for Hawkinson, though. It scares me a little bit.
It does. It really hurts Hawkinson's value. For me, I think it drops him. It drops him pretty quickly in my ranks. As soon as I start pulling those for this next coming year, it's going to be hard to make an argument for him otherwise.
You know who is going like this after seeing this trade, though, last night? The Houston Texans.
Yes.
The Houston Texans have to be going yes, we are going to get such a haul if we do decide to part ways with Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
I'll ask you, what is the price? What is the asking price? I mean, yes, he has a monster contract, but you know what you're getting. Like, you have a franchise quarterback that is among the very best in the league, probably right there when it comes to like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Like, Watson is in that conversation for the second best quarterback in the National Football League behind your boy Mahomes. So what is the price? Like,
I mean, name your price. I mean, I think this is where the Texans get to sit back and say, make us an offer. And I couldn't agree with you more. This just took the value and the market through the roof for Watson. I mean, we were just talking off air as well, just talking about contracts back and forth. This coming year, Watson is going to be getting $15 million. That's something that is easier to swallow. The following year is the 40. So you're going to have a team that could possibly take him with, a little bit of room this year and then restructure the following year. Or you could see him going with some of the people that have the biggest cap space in order to take that contract. And the top ones on the list are the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Colts, the Jets, and the Patriots. And then there's the Bengals, but we know that they're not going to be anywhere near that conversation as they have Joe Burrow. So talking again, I feel like you said earlier, the Colts are divisional. That's not going to happen. The Texans are going to sit back and be like, here, you take him, and then beat us with him. Like, that's not going to happen. So then between the Jaguars and the Jets, which do you think makes the most sense for Watson? Because he's in a win now mode. He's so talented. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks that's active right now. I just feel like he's such an incredible talent that needs to go somewhere that he can be immediately used in all of his facets, in his rushing ability, as well as his amazing passing ability. I think that I just hope he goes somewhere that gets used.
Don't we all? I mean,
don't put him in the closet. Just keep him playing. He's so good.
I mean, probably if you're looking as far as, I definitely don't think the Jags make any sense because you've got Trevor Lawrence, who is widely regarded as probably one of the more talented prospects to come out in a while, right? Kind of in that like Andrew Luck, John Elway, Peyton Manning type mold, like a can't miss guy. But the Houston Texans, I'll go ahead and jump out there. If Matthew Stafford is worth 2 first-round picks, a third, and a former number 1 overall pick in Jared Goff, who has been to a Super Bowl, by the way, then you got to be thinking Deshaun Watson is probably worth 3-4 first-round picks and a player. That is steep, steep.
Right, Ocean was this report that he saw from Bleacher Report Gridiron saying, I saw a report that Watson's trade value hasn't changed for the Texans. They still want 2 firsts, seconds, and 2 defensive starters. I mean, like you said, more picks and more players. I think there's going to be a lot more players that get packaged in this move with Watson than with Stafford. I think that this is going to be a big package deal if and when it goes down.
You start thinking maybe like the New York Jets. You think, Quinnen Williams, who is a very gifted and talented, promising young player up front on the defensive line. They do have a high draft pick what they're picking at number 2 overall. They have high draft capital that can help the Texans immediately begin to rebuild. The New York Jets do make a little bit of sense. The Miami Dolphins, who are actually own the Texans pick from last year, believe it or not. Tua Tagovailoa, say what you will, he was still recovering from a hip injury, got under center, showed some flashes, but, kind of struggled down the stretch. But the Miami Dolphins make a little bit of sense if they want to package Tua. And even they have some nice defensive players on the other side of the football, if that's what the Texans are really aiming for. Jade Webb brings it up a very interesting point. The Chicago Bears. I mean, but how would that look?
They have no cap space.
No cap space, 1, to begin with. But 2, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy both passed on Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, mind you, and traded up 1 spot to take Mitchell Trubisky. Do you really see that front office? Should they do it? Yes. But do you see that front office saying, yeah, guys, we screwed up. We'll give up a boatload of assets to kind of right the wrong that we made. But that would make sense. I just don't know if I see it happening.
No, I feel like it sucks because, I think as fans of our other teams, like I mean, I'm guessing you're a Bucks fan. I would have to just guess based on inference. But everyone knows I'm a Steelers fan. I mean, I think based on our fans, where we lie, we're not high on the Jets. We're not people that are always been high on the Jets, just talking about playing football. So it's kind of hard for me to at least wrap my brain around Watson going to the Jets. But the more I look at what other teams could give, the more that the Jets make sense for him in a win now situation. I think there's still a lot of good parts. I think that Watson's caliber elevates everyone else's play. And I think that there could just be a lot of good things going there. I love Dried Ocean so much.
Yeah.
He's the best. He said, Dried Ocean saying it would be more of an ego thing from the Bears. They won't want to admit they were wrong. And then Jade Webb saying it's a kick in the balls, I know, but we need him in his skills. Hey, I think that's the thing with Deshaun Watson that's going to keep this price tag high. And the longer that the Texans hold out, the more offers they could get where they could see really, really good packages being offered for him because his skills are so good. I mean, he's just so efficient in terms of passing, in terms of extending the play, in terms of his rushing ability. I think he elevates the standard of all the offensive players on his side of the ball when he's on the field. So the Texans will severely miss him and have to go through huge rebuilding. I think this also brings into question, other players for the Texans that you could possibly see being on the move. I mean, I know personally I would love for J.J. Watt to join his brothers and hang out with the Steelers. That'd be really fun. But I think that this calls into question a lot of different parts for the Texans and that entire franchise going through a huge rebuild.
I think it was ESPN's Adam Schefter that post or tweeted something not too long ago of all the uncertain franchise level quarterbacks that really you can't with a vote of confidence say what their exact situation is going to be in 2021. So this first domino to fall is just one of many moves that are going to be taking place as far as quarterbacks in new places, new faces in new places. Deshaun Watson, though, there's not a team really outside of like maybe the handful that are secure at quarterback that you can't say, oh, Deshaun Watson instantly makes them better. You can make a case for the Washington football team. You can make a case for the San Francisco 49ers. Oof. I think with that defense and they get healthy, then you got George Kittle and some nice young receivers. And
that would be so fun. I mean, that would be so fun to see. Watson with Kittle and Ayuk. Stop. Oh my gosh.
Deebo Samuel. They've got a lot of talent. I mean, it makes sense for them. The Indianapolis Colts, again, that's not going to happen. But, on paper, they would make a hell of a lot of sense. The New England Patriots. I mean, Bill Belichick, I'm just saying.
He's kind of missing the quarterback he used to have just a little bit. Just a little bit of FOMO staring out a window while it's raining.
Just a bit. And all of a sudden, that division looks a little bit higher mountain to climb now to try to catch the Buffalo Bills. Who, say what you will about the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they got all the way to the AFC Championship game. Josh Allen significantly got better. Does Bill Belichick realize that he is farther away than he originally thought he was to competing in that division? And ultimately, you got to get past Mahomes. So, bunch of places that I think, we already kind of mentioned some of them, but I'm really interested to see where Deshaun Watson, if he gets traded, where does he go? Yeah. My money is going to be actually on the New York Jets. I think that number 2 pick allows the Houston Texans to go ahead and rebuild with a new guy under center, and they could probably drive the price up on the New York Jets. But I don't know. I don't know why that feels like where my gut's going, but I do think it's the New York Jets.
I feel like it makes the most sense as well. And when you're looking at price tags and when you're looking at what they just did for Stafford, I think that the Jets and that second pick overall in the draft this year is going to be a bit too tasty to pass up on. But also, if it's the move that the Jets are willing to make, then I think that that's going to be the best way to ensure the future of that team and the growth overall. And, having playoff potential, Super Bowl hopes with someone like Watson, who is that amazing of a talent. I think that they need it. They absolutely need that to revitalize that whole franchise.
I just feel so I sympathize for Houston Texans fans Because think about where they've gone from having a 24-0 lead against Patrick Mahomes in last year's postseason on the road at Arrowhead, looking like they're going to make potentially a push to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, it's just become completely unraveled, traded away DeAndre Hopkins, and that was kind of the last domino to fall and to seal the fate of Bill O'Brien.
No, for sure. I mean, I do see I don't see Watson playing for the Texans next year. It is going to happen. There is going to be a move that happens. And I think that there's a lot of parts that are in play, and I could see him there. Are there other teams besides the Niners, the Dolphins, and Jets that you could see happening? I mean, the Broncos.
I would love to see the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I would love the Steelers, but we have no money.
I know. You guys don't have the money. You guys would have to do pretty much you can kiss like a handful of players goodbye. You're not going to re-sign them if you have to bring on the contract of Deshaun Watson.
Which, in my opinion, is worth it. I'm posting that meme of trade everyone just to get him. I think that would be amazing.
You could send an entire bus to pick up like the amount of players that you're going to have to kiss goodbye to get Deshaun Watson to stay there. But I would say you still have enough of a core defense. And I love, even without Juju Smith-Schuster, who you would obviously not re-sign, but I still like Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and James Washington.
They're young too, and so they have those youth contracts, the rookie contracts, where they're cheaper right now. And I think that if you've got these young guys and you say, hey, we're going to bring this guy in, then I think you immediately have the excitement of, okay, I want to play with and for this guy. And so you're going to be more incentivized to stay in that situation. So you're not going to have no, but I want to stay here for all the money kind of situation. They're obviously going to want to get paid to play. They all do. But I think that that's too exciting to pass up on. Now, the reason I also don't think it's going to happen is we did just sign Dwayne Haskins. Do I want him to be the future of the Steelers? No, I don't. But
that's a flyer signing.
I think that it's a flyer signing, but also the Steelers like to sign and make these moves that are getting value where they think that they can for cheap. And that's what they did with Haskins. And so, I mean, I don't want that to be the situation. I really want Watson, but I'm just saying I don't think that's in their mindset right now.
I just don't know if also with the draft capital, like you're not going to have, even if you were to mortgage your future, the draft capital, it's not like they have like a top 5 pick. It's not like they have a top 10 pick where you're going to be able to entice an immediate rebuild for the Houston Texans. Could they make a play and make a huge offer? Yes. I don't see it happening, but if it were to happen,
then it'd be really fun.
Well, no, I really think that would push the Pittsburgh Steelers, who started the season, mind you, 11-0, with Ben Roethlisberger not playing at the level that we've been accustomed to over his Hall of Fame career. Mm-hmm. But Watson tips that needle with that defense. I'm just saying I would love to see it. I just don't think that they're going to have it.
But also based on, like you said, this core and stellar defense the Steelers currently have, I do not see them picking that defense apart to ship it away for a quarterback. We have taken too long to get back to the steel curtain days to start picking apart something that's working so well. So I just don't see that. I want it. I just don't see it working out. Jade Webb with another question for us saying, what do you guys think about Rodgers' situation? Do you think he's gone or staying? I believe he's posing somewhere else.
I think he's staying. I don't see what leverage he really has to push his way out. I know he's upset. I understand he's disappointed that they didn't make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Second straight year they made it to an NFC Championship game, and he had what I think is going to be the MVP season of 2020. Like, Aaron Rodgers was fantastic, except when it mattered the most. And I'm going to be a little critical of Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm not going to say that he was the reason that they lost the football game, but if you're that dude, the plays were there to be made. The defense got him 3 turnovers in the second half. Mm-hmm. They had an opportunity, and Rodgers didn't get it done. I understand that Matt LaFleur's decision to take him off the football field, kick a field goal, and give the football back to Tom freaking Brady is maddening, because I think that Rodgers needed that opportunity to try to make a play. If you don't get it, then you leave the Buccaneers pinned on the 8-yard line, and then you still have the same scenario where you got to get a stop. But you at least give Rodgers that opportunity. I understand why he's pissed, but I don't see the Packers parting ways, because guess what? I think they screwed up with Jordan Love big time.
They screwed up with Jordan Love, and then they took A.J. Dillon, and then Rodgers put the team on his back and said, fine, you want to make those moves? I'll show you what I can do, even if you don't give me another wide receiver. And so I'm hoping that what they do and what their sit down is Rodgers saying, hey, so now that I proved to you I've still freaking got it, can we get me some more assets so that I can continue to be successful and take you guys to these championships? For crying out loud. He did all of this just chucking it to Adams and passing it to Jones the whole time. Like, give this man some pieces to play with.
Do you think it would have helped that instead of spending that pick on Jordan Love, that they would have taken Laviska Shenault Jr. out of Colorado to complement Devontae Adams? Do you think they could have used him in the NFC Championship game? Possibly.
Like a lot.
Not to mention, by the way, Aaron Jones was really, he actually had a terrible NFC Championship game, 2 fumbles, 1 lost. But A.J. Dillon really didn't have much, if any bit of an impact in the 2020 season that, the Packers have done him multiple disservices. I understand why he's frustrated, but I still think that he's in a very good position to compete there in Green Bay, and him trying to force his way out, I don't think that that's really what's going to happen. San Francisco makes some sense. Give Rodgers Allen Robinson. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's do that.
It makes so much sense that they're not going to do it.
You know who else's contract is up? I'm sorry to say it, but isn't Chris Godwin going to be a free agent this year as well?
Hey, whoa.
I'm just saying.
Hey, they're still playing.
They're still playing. I know. I'm just saying that would be such an awesome move.
You can stop talking how awesome it's going to be, because I don't want to think about it. But, speaking of which, I know that we're about to wrap up here on this episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate. If you guys haven't done so, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like button, all that jazz. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl 55. I actually may get to go down there and cover it. We'll see. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we've made it all the way to the Super Bowl. You picked against them last week. I told you that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to win. I'm interested because right now the Chiefs are 3-point favorites. Mm-hmm. At Tampa Stadium, Raymond James. Who do you think is going to win Super Bowl 55?
Who do I think or who do I want? Because those are 2 different questions.
You better want the Buccaneers, but I'm hoping.
allowed to like other players, Derek. I'm allowed. So, okay. What I think is going to happen is I think that this is going to be a really fun Super Bowl. I know that a lot of people said, I see a lot of people saying, this is going to be so boring. This is just going to be so easy. But I feel like Mahomes is such a generational talent, and he has proven himself over and over again to not be doubted and dismissed. I think this is going to be a really close game. But seeing the defense that your Bucs has been putting up, I think it is going to be a really tough one, and I think that they're going to edge out, and I think that the Bucs are going to win.
Wow. Okay.
Because it's just too storybook. It's too storybook to not pan out, because Brady just decided to say, hey, I'm still the GOAT, and I'm the GOAT. Doesn't matter what team I'm on, and jumped over to the Buccaneers, who had all the pieces he needed to be successful and a defense on top of that to continue that success. And I think it's just going to, the home team's going to win. It's just too storybook to not happen.
So I do want to take the second to just tell you how hype I am that we've got the guy that, first off, my team is playing. Ecstatic about that. But, when it comes to like a long-term narrative, Tom Brady playing in his 10th Super Bowl, going for his 7th ring, and going up against that guy over there that is all world everything. And think about it, Sam. Think about how bonkers Patrick Mahomes really is. He's been a starter in the NFL for 3 full seasons. He's gone to 3 straight AFC championship games, 2 straight Super Bowls now. I mean, he's got an MVP under his belt, a Super Bowl MVP award. I mean, this is unprecedented. What type of a start to a career that we've ever seen. And but the one guy that he's chasing is the guy that refuses to get off the mountaintop in Tom Brady.
Yeah, there can only be one Highlander, and I believe that it's Tom Brady.
Nice. Like that was well done.
I knew you'd like that.
I'm just from a long-term perspective, we're going to be treated to a quarterback showdown. You know, the old lion versus the young lion. I think it's going to be something fantastic. As far as getting into the X's and O's of it, we can do it more next week. I do think that it's going to come into play that Eric Fisher, the Chiefs' left tackle, is now out for this game. We saw how much of an impact that had when David Bakhtiari, the all-pro left tackle for the Green Bay Packers, was not available. Jason Pierre-Paul had a huge impact on the game. So did Shaq Barrett.
Yep.
If the Buccaneers, and this is the question that faces every team when they go up against the Kansas City Chiefs, if they can slow down Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce just long enough to let those two talented edge rushers, and even Vita Vea, who's back, and Ndamukong Suh, if you can make him hold the ball for an extra second or two, I do think the Buccaneers get enough pressure to pull off what I think is going to be a minor upset, and Brady's going to do enough Brady-type things in big moments to give the Buccaneers their second championship in Super Bowl history.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I see happening as well. I just feel like it's going to be a very fun Super Bowl to watch. I think that this is going to be, I think it's going to be down to the wire, to be honest. I think it could be one of those where it's just trading blows back and forth until the final person that's holding the ball is going to be the one that secures the victory.
No lead is going to feel safe. I mean, both of these guys are crazy with comebacks. Like, that's what I'm saying. No matter what the situation is heading into the third or fourth quarter, you feel like the other team has a chance because we've seen both of these dudes do some crazy things when faced with adversity and like 2 or 3 score deficits. Like, you hit the nail on the head. I think it's going to be a fun Super Bowl. It's just going to be a lot more fun if that team actually pulls it off. I may have to take a week off if the Bucs get their ass handed to them. So hopefully that's not the case.
I mean, my plan for Super Bowl Sunday is to leave you alone and just not text you at all. Positive, negative. I'm going to do this. Just like going to leave Derek. We
need to have the fantasy debate on Saturday. Because Sunday, I'm not reachable. I'm just like doing my thing. I'm tunnel vision. Tunnel vision.
You'll be in the zone. That's totally fine. And to be fair, if it was vice versa and my Steelers were I wouldn't want anyone talking to me anyways. I would hide my phone in the other room and I would just hold my Steelers blanket over my head and just like be rocking back and forth praying the entire time.
Yeah, no, but that'll do it for this episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate. Go ahead and sign us off, Sam.
Thanks so much for joining me, Tate, for this very quick news coverage of the crazy blockbuster trade that occurred with the Rams and the Lions. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and all your questions. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Please, like Tate said, subscribe and follow us at all forms of social. You can find Tate at dtater4 on all forms of social. You can find me on Twitter at Samantha R. Holt and on Instagram at Sam_awesome. We appreciate you guys and we will see you next week.